Hey, randomly, Ronnie from New York City. How we doing, Ronnie?
You look so cheerful. I don't know what it is. How are you so cheerful all of a sudden?
I just took a shower.
Oh, gotcha. A
Took a
shower,
shower, just finished the gym.
a good afternoon, the gym, a good afternoon nap. These are the things that make you feel better. And also, the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale episode,
Finale.
which we felt like we knew a lot about what was going to happen, but to see it is to live in it. And I was eating my popcorn.
Yes, baby. It was explosive. It was everything we were hoping that it was gonna be. But first off, welcome back, everybody. I'm Russell Ray. This is my co-host with the most, randomly Ronnie Jr., who
I hope I
spotlights on Jonesy in the morning. Okay, so 94.7 The Block.
jokes and shenanigans. Yes.
Jonesy in the morning with jokes and shenanigans with Miss Jones. She has a new single that's out,
Yeah, the single's
calling
called
all the
"Calling All Ladies." Miss Jones started her career in music, and then and it's funny because she's a New Jersey gal, even though she's from Queens originally.
uh-huh.
And today on the morning show 94.7 The Block, outside of playing the song "Calling All Ladies," we did have a quick moment to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta and a quick moment to talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey. To which I said, "Did you know that they are putting the production on pause? At least that's what's being said." When it usually starts back up in June. So there's a lot to break down there, but it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool when you get to mix the radio, which, I'm not with the radio program all day, every day, just very
Mm-hmm.
part time, but I have fun. And that's what we talked about today. So I got to say, Russell, you're going to love this. I got to say across, what is it, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, I got to say on the air with Miss Jones, I got to say, Team Gorga all day. So I feel like I have done my due diligence because I have been rocking with them since the beginning of the season. There was supposedly so much that was going to go on, but I don't know that a lot went on. I think Melissa held her own. I'm just saying.
I think she held her own as well. But if you're just joining us, I just want to highlight again, this is Real Housewives of New Jersey, season 13, episode 15, with Russell Ray and my co-host randomly Ronnie Jr. We are breaking down the finale episode before the big wedding, and we're going to let you know everything that happened, highlight all the major moments, and really tell you what we think about what happened this episode, and if we thought it was fair or not. We're going to be the refs on that. Please chime in the live chat. Let us know what you think. If you're streaming this later, feel free to leave a comment, but make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you head over to Randomly Ronnie's page. Check out his shorts, his YouTube shorts at Randomly Ronnie Jr. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe, give him comments. Let him know how he's doing, because I will tell you, my boy has over 600 videos on his YouTube space, and he is killing it in the podcast space as well as on the radio. So in the biggest market in the United States, come on, New York City, just killing it with throwback hip hop, R&B, just all the way, all the above. Randomly Ronnie, I want to hear your initial thoughts on this finale. Let it go.
Well, I think you were right the whole time. This was really, in some way, Dolores' season. Sure, we're going to have this big finale, not finale because this was the finale episode, but this finalized moment where Teresa has the wedding. But as truth will be told, um, Real Housewives of New Jersey, the wedding special, will have a ratings dip because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to watch the Teresa wedding. I think when I saw the trailer or commercial or preview, the only thing interesting in the entire trailer was the like nanosecond that we saw the gorgeous and wonderful Kenya Moore. But outside of that, I was like, oh my God, what a snooze fest. My question to you, do you think they made the right decision? To me, I feel like you go off the momentum that you are showing, which is all of this stuff is going on. Let's get right into the reunion. To hold this off and get people to go to a different page and watch the wedding and then do the reunion, to me, doesn't seem like the right idea. How did you take it?
I'll tell you this. I did not like Teresa's outro when it was next time on Teresa's wedding. And I was like, this isn't Teresa's wedding. This is the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So we should have stuck with the theme of next time on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And then
Well,
it could have cut to Teresa saying, "I'm getting married." Like, you know what I mean? Like a live shot of her doing that in the wedding. I didn't like I don't
yeah.
know. It was annoying to me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to differentiate it, so I do get that, but I just don't feel like it was the right move. Give us if here's why, and yes, there will be some Teresa and I guess the Gorgas tweeted something or whatever. So there will
Mhm.
be some of that in the reunion special, but or the wedding special, what I like to call the ratings dip. But I just feel like what you're going to end up doing is people did not want to see this. They're tired of it. Every single person is. Andy's tired of it. Melissa's tired of it. Teresa's tired of it. Russell's tired of it. Nobody wants to see
Mhm.
the. It's too much. And so you're gonna like give us a wedding special and then you're gonna rehash it all. Like, I just don't think it's
Yeah.
the smartest move. I really, really don't. Anyways, that's I stick to that.
Speaking of wedding will be our word for the day. So if you are having an adult cocktail, because it is 5 o'clock somewhere, go ahead
Hmm.
and take a sip of your drink every time you hear the word wedding. We've mentioned it 7 times already, so you should be 7 drinks in.
Oh
If you're not
no.
21 yet, and if you're in the United States, please take a drink of water, seltzer, ginger ale, anything that's non-alcoholic.
Hmm.
But we are 7 and counting so far randomly. First off, let's get started with the Irish party.
Hmm.
What did you think? I thought it was great to see Paulie really be his authentic self, first of all. Second of all, I've already said how much I love Paulie's house. The more I got to see of it, I have become obsessed with
Hmm.
Paulie's house. It is a bachelor condo, the dark colors, the
Hmm.
glass, the sleek black that's around the property. It overlooks the water. He's driving 2 Rolls Royces. It does
Yeah.
not get any better than this. If any,
Mhm.
Dolores has hit and struck a pot of gold.
Well, what was interesting is I think in her outro slate, it said they're looking for a home together, which I'm not against because, like, you want to build together. But this home that he has is absolutely wonderful. I mean, maybe on some level it is a little bit of a bachelor pad, maybe, in terms of why he got it. I don't know. He obviously was married before, so I'm not sure. Did they live together in that home? But either way, this is what I will say. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like being a young kid and always like having big dreams of like living that what is it, like metropolis lifestyle. I've always been more attracted to condo living, if especially if it's sleek and so opulent as this one was. I've never been intrigued with like a house with a yard. Like, it's fine and dandy, but I feel like I need to have all of the elements that Paulie's place had.
Yes.
So I'm just intrigued to see where they go next because it's going to be hard to top this place. This felt really good. And another thing is, every single person kept talking about how amazing his place was, which is so
Hmm.
interesting because, again, I've always heard over the course of my lifetime, people love the home living. It's always got to be a home and a yard, which is so boring to me. Um, so there must have been something to it that had everybody talking. And yes, the aesthetic, the overlooking the water, it just felt like a party. This Irish theme party that I wanted to
Yeah,
be
and the
at.
dancers.
The dancers, the way that they all dressed up as well was not an Irish theme, but like the point of it. But also, like, you look at the photos and you see the guys, they all have a great time. Like, Jersey guys just really make this show just as much as the ladies. And it was one of those events that you would love to be at.
Honestly, I have no idea why Dolores did not invite me to this event, so I'm gonna have to send her a message and let her know that I'm fairly upset that I was not notified, considering all of our audience knows that I am a jet setter, so I am constantly coast to coast,
Yeah.
and I could have made that happen. So it's okay though. I forgive her. She's a lot on her plate right now. She has a new man. She's like breaking him in with a circle. She's really kind of immersing herself with someone else, which is also hard because we have to remember when you immerse yourself with someone else, you really kind of accept them and all of their burdens and all of their pluses and all of their minuses, all of their, for lack of better words, baggage. Not that
Hmm.
not that Polly has any baggage at all whatsoever, but Dolores is really kind of merging and starting this new life that she hasn't had in a while. I know there's a lot of our people who actually do really like David
Hmm.
with Dolores, but my thing is, I have not seen Dolores glow the way that she glows with Paulie. And when you can be your authentic self while you're also sharing these other elements of life with your person, you're in the right spot. And I
Mhm.
think Dolores is in a great spot. And when it comes to them finding a house, I think it's great because they both have their established properties, and I 100% am on board with each individual bringing their separate entities into the relationship, but also maintaining their separate entities because you have your own private spaces in case, not wishing any bad upon anybody, but in case something was to happen, they both have their perspective outlets to go to. They can sell whatever house that they get together and call it a day, and it should not be messy. Split it right down the middle. You take your house that you already had, I take my house that you already had. We're ready to go. Because in today's day and time, people don't like to work on their relationships. They like this superficial idea of we look great in pictures, our aesthetic is good. We had two kids that are aesthetically pleasing and we can dress them up. We really don't want to raise them. We're going to throw an iPad in front of them and call it a day. So we're just in this we're just in this society right now where everything is kind of superficial. So when you find love, you always hope for the best, but you also have to prepare yourself just in case anything was to go south, you know. So I digress on that because I do like them as a couple. I really think they're going to go far in life, and I think they found their person at their chapters right now, and I think this will be the last and final on both ends.
Good.
And moving on, we're going to Frank and Brittany talking about last and finals. Okay, so Frank and Brittany, there, as we saw last episode, there was a bit of a hesitation when it came to Frank becoming part of or allowing Paulie and Brittany to become part of the family because in his mind, his and Dolores's children are their own,
Mhm.
and Dolores's mind is showing that we're all going to be one big family. Everyone's happy in their perspective corner, so we should really just accept that for what it is. And I like Brittany, and I think Brittany should come around, and I also think Paulie should come around because he's part of my life. We are one now. And I liked that Frank and Brittany showed up, and lo and behold, Frank did not get forgotten about, and he's part of the show still.
Mhm.
So Frank and the tears, I get it. I understand where you were coming from. There's a lot in you where you don't also want to lose your best friend. Uh, Potentially, you also did not want to lose your spot on the show. But as we've seen in tonight's finale or last night's finale, you have your space. The boys still love you. Everyone is bringing
Mhm.
you in. Everyone's welcome. We didn't really get much of Brittany, but that's okay because she has, that's his girlfriend and he's not a main character. So it's understood that she's just going to be a quick shot and out.
But with that being said, I still feel like I would be excited to see a spinoff. I think you mentioned that you might have heard around the word around the curb is that
Let
Frank
me get a
is
close up
trying
on
to
this. Hold on. Go ahead.
trying to do a I don't know if I need a close up. Frank is trying to do a spin-off with Joe. So I mean right now, because we're thinking of like what is going to happen with the next season, I feel like every single person out there on the cast should just be pitching themselves for all the things because nothing is guaranteed. No cast member is guaranteed. So Frank is still entertaining. So I am glad that he is with the mix, but I also am glad that he grew a little bit, and he had to grow because Dolores said, "No, no, no. I've been very welcoming to all of the stuff, but there are rules, boundaries rather." So I love where they've both grown, and I really credit that more to Dolores than Frank. With that being said, I'm still a fan of Frank, and yeah, we would love to see more of Brittany. Why not?
I am on board with Joe and Frank having their own show because I think they're so entertaining. Frank and Joe are just this dynamic friendship that you don't get very often in men. They're they're goofy, they're dorky, they're for lack of better words, hypersexual with each other. But these are the things that you get when you're in college and you find your friends and you're just like all over each other and coddling each other, even though you might not be gay, but you're still kind of just all over each other, enjoying each other's space. And I think that's what we get with Joe and Frank. So I would really love to see where their reality show is going. But in my expertise of reality television, what I do see happening is that Frank is a contractor and Joe is a real estate developer. So I see them collaborating on a show for Bravo that is almost like Flip or Flop on HGTV, but we see Frank and Joe doing the work, creating these spaces,
Yeah,
selling the
maybe.
properties, and having this moment, and also being bros together and enjoying each other's company. And it real estate being the secondary aspect of the show, but the main reason why they're on there together. But it allows for these things to happen, whether they're doing the Catskills in New Jersey, or they're doing, properties on the water where Paul lives, Paulie. So I feel like the show that they are pitching is going to be in regards to real estate development and construction.
That would be interesting, I guess. Sometimes I worry because, like, I think about like Bethany and Frederick are both so entertaining. Bethany on Real Housewives of New York, Frederick on Million Dollar Listing in New York and LA. But then when they did a show together, I had a hard time enjoying it. Yeah, it had an angle, like a flipping homes angle, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But it just sometimes doesn't work. That's the only thing. But if that's what
Yes.
it takes to get the show on the air,
Yes.
my choice would be yes, Peacock streaming, pick it up for sure.
Yes.
Because we are Team Frank and we are Team Joey Gorga and the playfulness that is them. I mean, you gonna take them off the show? Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Well, you remember at the pool party last season or the season before, they do have that real estate friend
Mm.
who
Oh,
whom
the
was
Michelle?
yes.
She has another show that's on the air, I believe. Michelle
Um,
Pais or whatever.
if it's under the umbrella of NBC Universal, she can do another show with
Mm-hmm.
Joe and Frank. Now I got to do a little bit more research to find out who that is umbrellaed under. But as you and I know, NBC Universal is a conglomerate that owns
Mm-hmm.
many networks and production companies. So this is a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But all the pieces are there, the elements are there to make this happen. But we're gonna move on from this because this has nothing to do with the finale episode today. It was just speculation and us foreshadowing what's gonna happen with this dynamic duo that's pitching their show. And I haven't heard much from my source. I haven't heard much more from my source other than they're pitching a show together, and it's actually looking pretty good that they're gonna get it. I would like to find out the elements of the show, so I will have to reach out and ask if it does have anything to do with
Mm-hmm.
construction and renovation or real estate development.
Mm-hmm.
And I will let you know as soon as I find out.
You're right. We do got to get back to the finale because there was so much to talk about. Yes.
Yes, including Jen Fessler giving out phone numbers, which was very Jen Fessler. I was
Mm-hmm.
actually happy to see this small moment happen. As we all know, Frankie Jr. is handsome, built, a
Mm-hmm.
model. He has a lot going for him. He has a great career.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jen Fessler asks him in the corner if he's dating anyone, and he says no. And she says, pull out your phone so she can give him her daughter's phone number, which I was like, this is what moms should be doing, whether your child is gay, straight, bi, lesbian, questioning, non-binary, uh, two spirit plus. This is what these are what we have parents for. They should be looking for qualities in individuals that they want their children to date, because they want them not only to have a successful relationship, but also to not have to struggle. Because you and I know this, coming from Hispanic backgrounds, that our families always struggle to give us a better life. And so they're always looking for those elements to help us not have to deal with as much burden as they do or they
Mm-hmm.
have. So I really appreciated Jen Fessler having this honest, genuine moment when it came to Frankie. And I also appreciate, and it says a lot about Frankie in the way that he reciprocated and responded to Jen Fessler, because it shows
Mm-hmm.
that he's fun. It shows that he's willing to be open-minded and get to know someone that maybe he's never met before, and be set up maybe on a blind date or just reach out.
And you don't know because you're thinking like, well, his dad was a cheater, pumpkin eater. So you're kind of like, does it run in the family? But little Frankie seems to have a different vibe altogether. And you're right, like kind of in terms of the mother getting involved in it, who in this case would be Jen Fessler. If you see somebody that's, has a lot going on, I don't know. It's a question. Is that considered to be like a superficial thing? I remember, and she doesn't say very many interesting things on Real Housewives of Potomac, but Karen Huger, she one time did say something interesting. She said, what'd she say? She goes, I soon as date a poor man as I would a rich man. I just don't know as many poor men who are as happy as rich men. And it's not saying that money is everything or Frankie's good job or, what family he comes from, etc. It's not defining any of these things as superficial. It's just saying you want the best for your kids. So you obviously don't want them just dating anybody. And you see somebody like Frankie who seems like a catch or is a catch, you're gonna support that and say, like, well, I don't know, Frankie, give her a call, see what's up. I again could see how that would be looked at as a little superficial, but in life we got to think about all the value that we want to bring forth into every scenario. When you're dating, do I have value? When you're dating, do they have value? When you're applying for a job, do I have value? When they're giving you the job, what is the value you could give to the job? Like, value is a very big thing, and Jen Fessler made it funny, and I was here for that scene. Absolutely.
And here's the thing too, is like people forget that life is expensive and that life takes hard work. And sometimes we are blinded by, as individuals, by things that just seem nice
Mm-hmm.
physically, aesthetically. And so it's nice to have someone else looking out for you who actually can see something with a clear lens, who
Mm-hmm.
actually has a great outlook on life. Now, if Teresa or maybe some other cast members wanted to set up my child, or like, I don't know, if I was someone who if I was there and they were like, let me set you up with someone, I'd be like, I kind of know a lot about you. So you know what they say, you are what you hang around.
Yeah, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like, could you
Yes.
imagine dating Gia? No, 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 no. Mm-mm.
Look, Gia's gorgeous.
Mm. She is beautiful, but it goes to show looks are as skin deep as, like even Teresa is in theory gorgeous, but Teresa's not a fun person to be around. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't bring a lot to the show. The wedding special, which I call the ratings dip, is looks are good, but I don't know. Can you agree? Have you ever been able to feel somebody and they maybe don't have the greatest of looks, but they got that certain energy about them? So in this case, Frankie does make a really great potential candidate for Jen Fessler's daughter
Mhm,
because he does have the look, but he also is really seemingly warm and fun and all these things. Comes
mhm,
from Dolores' son is probably going to be a pretty cool fucking kid.
mhm.
He's 23 years old and he's got a great job, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So looks are good, but it does break down a little bit, when the person, I don't care how hot you are, outside of getting laid, if
Oh,
you want to build something with somebody,
where's my parental advisory banner? It's not up.
okay,
I don't have it.
outside of going to a dinner date that goes late.
Outside of
Oh my god,
a
not the
friendly
parental
hello in a
advisory. No,
friendly way.
yeah, no parental advisory. We're going to reel it back in today. Anyways, moving on, right?
We are moving on to the moment everything was about to go down. Danielle and Jen Aiden talk about Melissa and this rumor that has been going around. As you and I have mentioned over several episodes, it has been rumored that Melissa was secretly dating somebody, and then now this Laura person and Margaret have this information that Melissa was making out with someone in the back of someone's car. Now, when the episode first started, and there was that snippet of Melissa of, I've had to hold this secret for a while now, I thought
Mm,
like maybe it is true. And like editors, great job. Because
yeah.
I thought maybe it is true, and maybe it wasn't anything as serious as they might make it seem. Just like we saw in the Real Housewives of Miami when it came to Julia making out with her designer friend,
Hmm.
and it was like, that's my designer friend. I don't want to be with him, but whatever. Maybe it was one of those scenarios where actually someone might have misinterpreted the information and got the wrong individual, and they might have been gay and they might have been drunk and they just might have been having a wild night.
Wow, all the hypotheticals today.
But like, here's the thing: we've seen it, and the reason I bring it up like that is because we've seen it happen with Frank and Joe. They haven't necessarily made out with each other, but Frank has kissed Joe and his glutes, and like
Mhm.
they've done like stupid things to each other while they're drunk.
Yeah.
And there was that other time where Joe bought the adult toy that they were like swinging around on the boat. So there's just things that like they're adults and they've lived their life and they can live their life however they want. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're up to anything
Yeah.
deceiving or shady or going behind someone's back, because Joe could very much be well aware of what was going on. Now, do I think Danielle should have taken the burden of feeling the way that she did and harboring this secret that she was? No, I feel like she should have took it for what it was. You know, take it with a grain of salt, and you find the right place and time to speak about it. I don't think that Polly's house and Dolores's house was the right place for
Mhm.
Jen and Danielle to make this conversation happen. I also am old school, and this is why I respect my mother so much. My mother has always come with the, if you're going to give me the information, you better say the names, because if not, then you're a coward.
Yeah.
So I don't like anybody hiding from the information. Bring it frontward and bring it forward and
Mhm.
stand behind your truth. This is what I heard. This is what I heard it from. I didn't care to confront you about it because I didn't find it to have any truth. So, but I do know about it, just so you know, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable if anyone was to ever tell you that I know this big secret about you. I know the secret, but I don't care because I don't feel like it's real.
Yeah. Well, I think for every relationship, it's like every single relationship on this show or relationship in general, for that matter, can have things happen. But I think the reason that even when I initially think about like what were some of the main attributes as to why I became a big Joe and Melissa fan, I just think it's a level of their confidence. And within their confidence, they know and can joke. You know, it's a good thing when you can joke about certain things. Like I think over the years, I don't know if it's in interviews or on the show, I'm just kind of like uh, recounting some of these things in my head. But at some point, they've joked about like, oh, okay, well, you want to try to go out and get you a young one? We'll see how that works for you. You know, it's a certain not arrogance, but a certain confidence they have within the relationship. They're basically saying, like, I got love for you, but like, go try to find something better. I love when you're able to talk that way. So many of relationships are very much, you know, you can't speak upon a lot of things. You can't even like look at an attractive person because the person gets very insecure. And I'm not saying these two aren't insecure within each other. They love each other so much, and they're both gorgeous. You know, Joe could move on quite easily, as can Melissa. But I think the playfulness that they've given throughout the times that we've seen them on the show is always been so exciting to me. So that's one point that I really love. But the other point is that I enjoy the notion that every relationship is going to go through their ups and downs. And I've said, and I don't know if it just comes from the perspective of, you know, I think when you're young, and you think about, you know, you come out or whatever, and you start thinking like, oh, I'm gonna date this guy and he's gonna be the greatest of great, you know, things. And then as you grow, and you could speak to this,
Did you
Russell,
see
in
my
terms,
face?
no,
I
what'd you
said,
do? Well, no, but you know what I'm saying? Like I,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't speak for you, like how you feel about all the things, but in terms of, I remember when I first started navigating the space,
Okay,
I
come on,
was like,
navigation.
yeah, come on, navigation. I used to think like it had to equate um a white picket fence and almost that same two car garage and
Yes,
you know a dog and all these things.
yes,
And then I realized love is what is the most, is the biggest thing, the solid thing. And you
yes,
know, it could be based on the community that I'm of course referencing, but I feel like people are grown-ups. Nobody
yes.
nobody wants to feel voided in their relationship, but let them decide. The problem with this whole scenario is two things really. It's that it's really just been a lack of ownership between Teresa, Danielle, and Jen, that they care so much about Melissa and Joe. They do not. That's number one.
Yes.
And number two, their thing is like, oh well, we're gonna show you because this is gonna show you that Margaret's talking behind your back and you should not like her. It's like the notion of these not bright girls on this other side, Teresa, Danielle,
Not these not bright girls.
and Jen, they're trying to like do the things that would affect them in a certain way and
Yes.
trying to project it onto someone else. Melissa is that bitch, always has been, always will be, with or
Yes.
without the show. I've
Yes.
said that since day one. I'm not going to jump off of that ever. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
That she's Melissa's
parental advisory.
Melissa, huh? Melissa is an icon. I said that on the radio today. She's an icon. She is Team Gorga. But I'm just saying, she doesn't come without her struggles. She's a real human being for sure.
Yes. Yes.
But like the notion it would be like if I had somebody that I didn't enjoy, I'm going to try to project something onto them to make them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And you hear it a lot too. You hear like Andy Cohen say, I think it was we've mentioned this already, but Andy Cohen say to Jackie, or was it to Melissa? One or the other. I think he asked both of them. Oh, Melissa said this about you, Jackie. Were you mad? Jackie's like, no, that's my girl. Like we're good. Like we're good.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do that with Margaret. Like, oh, well, Margaret's holding the secret. First of all, you don't know what came out in just general conversation and things that come out in general conversation. The person who now becomes the enemy of Margaret, which is Laura, but I'm not saying Laura is even an issue in this case.
Laura's an issue. I'll say it.
Whoa. Okay. I was trying
Laura's
to be kind.
The issue. Laura has been the issue. Laura is the issue. Laura, just sit down.
Yeah, I'm just saying the biggest problem with this whole thing is the lack of ownership that, Teresa, well, I just like knew about it, but I didn't necessarily, I can't tell people what to do. Oh, come on, Teresa. You cared. You cared.
Here's the thing as well. The producer asked Teresa point blank period, did you know that Jennifer was going to tell, whatever? And she said, yes. But I didn't think it was true, but it was none of my business. Okay, you knew that this was moving around. You knew that this was moving around. Your toxicity and not alerting Melissa to start with is an issue. Okay. And the fact that you're going to call your brother, I get it. And that's one thing I will say for Teresa is I understand calling your sibling, but Teresa wasn't even the one who made the phone call. Teresa had the information. Louis is the one that called the sibling. Now, when you have an outside source that's contacting an inside source, then I think the other outside source should be involved. And outside sources, I mean in-laws, Melissa and Louis. If that's the case, then you need to bring them in everyone needs to come in and you need to have a family conversation about how we're going to conquer this. And this is what we've been wanting to see as the audience, is these two come together and be against everybody else. And for a second, we had it. A second, we had it with Melissa and Teresa. There was a minute where it was them against everyone else, and that's cool. And that worked. There is something to be said about the way that you turn your back on family. And the common denominator between Teresa's issues with the Wakilis and with the Gorgas has been Teresa. So you have to take a look at yourself and say, why does this keep happening to me? What am I contributing to this situation? That is what being an adult is about. You have to acknowledge your issues and what you contribute to the situation, and if it's really causing outcomes in which you intend or do not intend. And if they're not the outcomes that you're not intending, then you need to reevaluate and figure out how you're going to address issues moving forward, and how you can support each other and how you can support your family moving forward. But we see it too often with this group that everyone starts to tear each other up. And I get it. It makes for great television. The numbers are great. Everyone's into it. I'm not 100% into it.
I'm not into it for a number of reasons. They did the reruns of the old season, the last season, and it kind of made me for all the times that the gal with the forehead, says, oh, well, Melissa always wants to be mad at me. It was a little daunting to see that last season. The gal with the forehead was telling Melissa, well, you got to check your friend. Remember when they were having the dinner outside and, she was saying some really nasty things to Margaret. And again, I think that the one thing is when you say nasty things to each other, you got to allow the other party to do that. And I will say that point that I have right there is because I also feel that Jennifer Aydin's whole issue is oh, well, Margaret, you did this horrible thing to me. Did Margaret just throw that at you, by the way. Like this
Yeah.
was if
Yeah.
once you go, it's back and forth. So there is
Yes.
a difference in that regard. And it really made me, and I'm so willing, because I only care about liking Melissa and Joe. I love and want so badly for Teresa to be in a wonderful relationship. I don't think this is the vibe. I'm
I don't think it
really
is
quite
either.
worried about
No.
where she's going to go. We will
Yes.
see where the future takes her. But right now she's in her love bubble, and hopefully everything does work out. But it was really daunting. And again, back to me being such a Melissa fan, it was daunting how much, if you like, when you look at that last season, Melissa was trying to, like, Melissa, maybe Joe was a little bit more ruthless, but
Hmm.
Melissa was trying to sort of hold back. Like, you ever been in a situation, because you and I, we talk about being
Been in
in
a lot of situations.
big Mexican families, and there are
Absolutely.
times where you try so hard because you know that if the other person goes, it's going to be a shit show. But if
Yes.
you, and I hate to say this, and this is not reflective in my life per se, it's just things I've seen, and it's not reflective in Teresa and Joe Gorga's situation either. But
Yes.
sometimes you have the one party that's sort of walking on eggshells to make it at peace. And it really did disgust me a little bit how last season so much was put on, like, well, you better go check your girl, check Margaret, da 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 da. And it's like, in that situation, I think Melissa's just now fed up. Melissa could have been fed up then. How many times does she need to try to make it work for the icon Teresa? Like, it's really hard to watch. So for all the notions that Teresa has of, like, oh, they just always want to bury me, or not bury me, but like to make blame me rather.
Yes.
I just feel like, how it would it have been the same if the same energy was always matched?
Yes.
Joe might have crossed the line a couple times, I will say, but generally speaking, Melissa tries her best to stay in a certain lane, to not buck up. She can, though. If she wants to, she can, and she
Yeah.
will. So I don't know. It was complex to watch the whole thing. What were your? Go ahead and with your thoughts, because I have some questions about Jennifer Aiden in a moment.
Well, I wanna move forward and segue into the actual conversation between Danielle and Melissa. And I don't think it was the right space. I don't think we have to, and that's the thing. We have to believe Danielle when what she says is that she's
Mm-hmm.
damned if she did and she's damned if she didn't, and her confessional.
Mm-hmm.
However, again, timing is everything, and you chose the wrong time. You chose it in an open couch in an open room where everyone was looking, all eyes were on you, right?
Yeah.
There is 3 different stories in this house. You couldn't go downstairs, you couldn't go upstairs, you couldn't take her into a corner or into a bathroom by herself.
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with where she did it. It's the finale. It's you're going to say it now or you're not.
Yeah.
I think it was more my dissatisfaction with Danielle. And again, let me just give the whole viewpoint on Danielle. Love Danielle at the beginning. Do certainly think Danielle has a lot of potential. Do certainly think Danielle. I wouldn't dare use the word brainwash, because that's not what exactly happened.
Yeah.
But definitely took the bait on a lot of situations.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'd love to see season 2. Danielle will be fine, her season 2. But I think season 3 is when she's really going to get it. Right now, she's very much influenced. And I think the part that's hard to watch is, like, she's the slapping the butt unnecessarily, the goofy verbiage. Like, it's really bad reality TV that makes you unfun to watch. And I think she thinks she's giving, and I mean, maybe a couple people enjoy that, but I gotta say, this is a fact now. We always got to defer to factual information. Rachel Fuda calmly has been the superior of the 2 newbies. Danielle is likable, and there is such potential there, but there's something about, you can't let people see you sweat, and Danielle has only done that. Her only moments have been while she's acted a fool. And if she continues to do that, it's going to get deeper and darker and tougher to pull herself out of that hole. Uh, because now, because what do we have from you? We have somebody who could never really explain herself. She could only pop off or say silly stuff to Margaret. for the most part, Margaret handled it pretty well. You know, I thought it was interesting that Danielle says at the end, she goes, "Oh, don't, I'm just the messenger." But then she also got mad at Margaret for being the messenger to some degree,
Yes.
but then also tried to flip it and say,
100%.
like you could see the intention. The intention wasn't, "Oh, Melissa, I really got to just let you know." The
Mhm.
intention, as once she exploded a little bit, this is Danielle. The intention was, wait, you're not mad at Margaret? You should be. I'm gonna tell you one thing, Russell, and we're
Yeah.
great friends, so this is great that we have great camaraderie. But you can't tell me to hate on somebody. Not
Yes.
you. I'm not saying you, Russell.
No. I
You
100% agree.
and the fact that that was what the whole intention was. You
Yes.
know, Jen Aiden also pushing that narrative, like, you guys should really be mad at her. She's the one, and she's the one that's loose lipped. Maybe not. Things
Mhm.
come up in conversation, okay? Now,
Yes.
because Margaret had a issue with that girl, Laura, and Laura's auditioned for the show 3 times and is, you know, a tad thirsty. I'm not going to say she's all the way thirsty, a tad thirsty. Let
A
that be
tad,
beat.
baby. She needs one of these.
Oh my God, Russell, how could you? I think
She
Laura
needs
could
one of
be a
these.
little bit fun on the show. But my point is, I can't even blame Laura because Laura's only going to give as much as she can give. And
Yes.
even though she gave the information to Teresa, Jen, and Danielle, it's ultimately those three's responsibility to, as Lisa Rinna would say, and as everyone's been saying for years, to own it. You have to own it. This had nothing to do with, oh, we're gonna call Melissa or we're gonna call Joe, and we really care. It wasn't. It was that
No.
Jen Aiden, did not enjoy getting basically mollywopped last season by Margaret and maybe other seasons as well. And so she had to throw something to show everybody and break up that friendship.
Yeah.
That is not somebody, even if I was on the team, Teresa, Danielle, and Jen Aiden side,
Yeah.
that is nobody I'd want to be a friend with, because you know what it reminds me of, Russell?
Tell
And then
me.
I'll stop.
Tell me.
It reminds me of something you and I have been consistently saying on these shows. We did Real Housewives of Miami recap, and now we're doing Real Housewives of New Jersey, and we'll probably do
Yes.
more and more and more
Yes.
outside of our busy work schedules. But it reminds me of one thing, probably one of the most disgusting things. Russell and I have said, when you take on a friend, if that friend comes to you with too much information, where they're just shit
Yes.
talking people that they rock with,
Yes.
what are they doing to you?
To you.
So Jen Aiden, Danielle, Teresa, if things don't go in alignment, at what point are you going to try to, create and divide? Because that's all that was, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's all that it felt like it was. It had nothing to do with Melissa.
Yes.
Now, Melissa popping off, I'd love to see it. We could talk about that in a second, but it was really about discrediting Margaret. It was about saying, I don't like that they are so cool with each other. I don't like that Jackie's cool with Rachel now, and Rachel's cool with Melissa, and Melissa's cool with Margaret. I don't like that. So my miserable behind is going to cause something and say, you should feel hatred towards that person.
Come on now. Preach.
But the confident girls don't feel that way, sweetie
Yes.
pie. They just don't.
No.
Okay, I must be told to be quiet. Russell, take it away.
Okay.
Because I said a lot.
We're going to break this down.
You need to do a close-up. There we go.
Here's the thing. We're going to break this down, and here's what it is. My mother had this conversation with me 20 years ago. I'm 31, so I was about 11 years old when this happened, right? And there was this kid that I did not like. We did not like each other, whatever. There was new kids that were coming into class that I was vibing with who also wanted to hang out with this kid. Now, my mom told me, when it comes to relationships, you do not tell other people how to feel, highlighting what you said. Do not tell other people how to feel about other people, because if they end up becoming buddy, best friends, they hit it off better. The first thing that's going to come out of their mouth, and it might not even be maliciously, it might be just genuine conversation of, you know what, that's crazy that you and I got along so well and that we're actually really close opposed to anybody else, because when I first met Russell, he had told me that I should watch out for you because we probably wouldn't vibe together. And then things implode and then you become the enemy, when all you were really trying to do was be like, look, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. They've done me dirty. That doesn't mean that they're going to do someone else dirty. That doesn't mean that they're going to do their best friend dirty that they're just meeting, right? So when you become the bad guy, it becomes a bigger issue. So I've always been told not to put myself in that situation, so I try not to. However, I've been put in that situation unless I don't care. If I don't care because I don't like you, I will definitely let people know. I will let them know what's up, and they can come back and tell me whatever, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm telling you information about someone, it's because they will never confront me about it because they already know not to play with it. Just saying. I also think that Danielle doing all this extra madness and the smacking on the butt and getting big and the hands in the face, and I think what did you say? It was like it was terrible television or whatever.
Yeah, it
I
was.
don't think it's terrible television. I think it's basic reality. I think it's giving basic reality TV, right? So you have your levels of how you present yourself on television. I think that was the basic structure of what everyone starts off with in reality television. So it's kind of is basic response, loud, emotional, and not to even say like emotional because of any which way or gender specific or anything having to do with that. It was just big and unnecessary for no reason. And like we've said from the beginning of the season, we really do enjoy Danielle's presence. However, this was a very bad look on it. And it was a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
I love Margaret. I really do. I think that Margaret has been caught up in too many webs and she needs to just take a step back for a second and let all that figure out itself and just stop saying things. I think we need to go back to the Marge of letting things roll off the back and kind of taking things with a grain of salt, as in when someone talks smack about her, it's like, yeah, I don't, you're right. I don't miss a meal. I love eating. Right. Because that's
Yeah.
genuine Margaret that we liked. We liked Margaret with the pigtails. We loved it. Right. And the pigtails went away and all of a sudden Margaret started changing. But we also seen that Margaret has gotten a few procedures done, and not to knock that in any way, shape, or form, but it brings a different persona out of you when you start to look certain way that you maybe wanted to look.
Mm-hmm.
We all know, Ronnie, we've had this conversation.
Uh-oh.
I want to be this. I want the boulder shoulders and the big arms and the big chest. I want to be able to wear my shirt like this and you can see the carvation of my pecs, right? But
Yeah,
who
same.
knows
Yeah.
how I'm going to act when this happens, right? And my buddy Corey is about to move down into town
Mm-hmm.
from Oxnard.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know Corey will get me there. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
how will Russ start to act? But thankfully, I have a great surrounding with you and Corey and everyone. Everyone will
Yeah.
check me if I start to act
Your
out of line.
principles are always something you think about when you make whatever changes, a career advancement, a
Yes.
breakup,
Yes.
you're putting your look together, coming up in the world of fashion, whatever it is.
Yes. Yes.
With Margaret, maybe there's a little bit of that. I will tell you that Margaret wasn't my initial. She wasn't an early. I still to this day don't even know that I like love her. She's fantastic, but I don't like
Yeah.
really like. If you notice, sometimes I almost forget to like mention her, like as far as the ones that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But she's fine. But you're right, something about that could be different. I've told you before on one of these podcasts that like I did walk next to Margaret in Tribeca once, and it was right as she was getting the I don't know if it's the only, but the first procedure in terms of the facelift. And I will say she looked just, I mean, it looks good on the camera, but when you see it in real life, I mean, it was quite like she looked strikingly beautiful for sure.
Yeah.
Not that she didn't before, but what does that do to your mindset? What does that do when season after season they're paying you more and you're expected to perform? I like that you held Margaret a little bit and took her to task a little bit, because I definitely don't want anyone to watch our show and say, "Oh, it's just so one-sided." It's not that it's one-sided. It's just I would need or love to see the side that is Danielle's errors and Jennifer Aiden's errors and Teresa's errors to have a redeeming quality, but a lot of times they don't. And in those three, the one that has the most redeeming of qualities is Danielle. Because
Yeah.
Danielle, in my opinion, the part that she messes up on, and she should hire us for media training. I've said that before, 20 years in broadcast. I know what
Hold
I'm
on.
doing.
Hold on. Make a pose because we're both gonna have these close-ups for a second, so she knows. There's
Mm.
you. Hire us. Let us know. Okay, back to you,
Yeah.
Ronnie Jr.
I'm just saying we should do the media training. I think Danielle is a fantastic housewife, so much potential. I think
Yes.
maybe not today, tomorrow, because we're still in it, But watching the season over, chatting with even her mother, I think her mother brings a lot to the table. We love Nate also, and we think she has a little bit of ambition that is kind of nice to see. You know, some people have said like she's a little thirsty. I don't know. It's kind of exciting to see her like, no,
Who's
I
not
want,
but
huh?
who's not thirsty on their first time on a major television show? Like, she had her one moment with, what was it, Made or
Mhm.
True Life, Real Life
It was
on
with
MTV?
MTV. Yeah, yeah.
That was one moment, right? One moment, one episode. So
Hmm.
we get this new sense of confidence. And you and I know this because you've been on regular television consistently. I have
Hmm.
my show on the Peacock Television Network, and this is the perfect time for a plug.
You better.
So you can go ahead and check me out on Peacock Television. Let me get rid of this little banner so you know where to send your kids while you're watching us or while you're watching
It's a
Teresa's
wholesome
wedding.
show. Yeah, with I love it. I think it's a really great concept, and it's competitive because the parents are there. There's you guys, the design experts. Sorry, I cut you off, but take it away.
And, there's something different to be said when you actually have your moment to be the
Hmm.
center of attention on a television show. And that's what Danielle's going through right now. I went through it as well.
Hmm.
You're trying to find your place. So I will say, when I was shooting Create the Escape, as much as you and I have done with red carpets and with
Hmm.
AfterBuzz TV, and what I was doing with 2Fab, which is the sister company of TMZ, it's different when all eyes are on you, so you have to find your place. So there was about 2 episodes where I was really struggling to find
Hmm.
how I wanted to portray myself, and then I finally became comfortable as I got to know my co-host better, and as I just became more comfortable with the role that I was in. So Danielle will get there, but as of right now, she's really kind of finding her way of what she's going to do, because this is a big moment. It's a
Hmm.
huge following, huge, 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 huge following. So there's a lot to be said when all scrutiny starts to hit you at one time, and you're like, you're dodging tomatoes, but you're also, you know, getting credits
I
where
think
mixed emotion, and it comes down to mixed emotions. Is some people think you're right and some people think you're wrong, and it could be the same exact thing they think you're right and wrong on, but what do you do?
more guidance and advice, and take it with a grain of salt because you're probably watching the show. Not you, Russell, because you think I'm amazing, of course. Thank you.
You are amazing.
But if you're watching the show and you're like, look at Dusty randomly Ronnie Jr., that's just an opinion. I don't really care about your opinion, but I will give a little bit more. Damn, arrogant motherfucker. No, sorry, I've been up since 4:30 in the morning because again, we out here working, so I gotta let it
Yes,
rip.
yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
but the point is, one thing that I think, and I think she has taken improv classes, because one thing we know about Danielle is after the MTV series, she did move to LA. I believe, I'm 99% sure. She moved to LA and she, was pursuing acting. So within that, you're going to take like improv classes, and I think she did take them. But and not that I know a ton of stuff. I mean, I took a couple classes at IO West and a workshop at Groundlings, and it really helped my radio career at the time. But what they always encourage you is don't go. I don't know the terminology. God, I don't want to mess it up after I'm giving advice. But like, you don't go to the negative space right away. You don't go to the no. You don't because then you can't take the scene anywhere else. Now this is
Yes.
reality TV, so it's not necessarily the same. But I think Danielle's biggest problem. Two things she should do. One thing she should do, and one thing she should not do. This is advice for Danielle. Danielle should sit more in a comic relief space, because her bouginess and her how much she loves on her children and her gorgeous husband, that and doing it at a like a sensational spectacle way, that is Danielle. That is good Danielle. We love that part of Danielle.
We
I mean,
do.
we can't get enough of that. Like, I am ready. I'm such a Danielle fan, even though I have some critiques, that I am ready to look back. And I think you mentioned this in the early seasons. Danielle's house is still the more approachable home because she's new to the show, gorgeous, but it's still like on her way. I'm excited about season 3, season 4 Danielle, where like she just has that glow up. So I think more of
Yes.
it's almost like whoever called her out, I think it was Jackie, and I love Jackie. Jackie's so direct. Jackie reminds me of people that I know.
Yeah.
But how Jackie called her out and said, "Oh, you're like a caricature, or you're like a knockoff Snooki," even though that's like a kind of a funny diss. Danielle, lean into that shit. That is
Yeah.
prime Housewives of New Jersey. That's where she shines. Where she has a problem, like I mentioned with the improv scenario, you can't take an improv scene if you go. I'm forgetting the terminology. I know you know what I'm talking about, Russell.
Yes.
If you go to the no or the negative or the whatever, you can't take the scene anywhere. You have
Yeah.
to yes and the entire scene. And
Yes.
again, this is reality TV. This is not improv, but she tends to go when she can't go toe to toe as a wordsmith. And
Hmm.
maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some insecurities that she has. I don't know. And she goes to this asinine level that only looks good on TV for 5 seconds. She slaps her butt. It goes slightly viral, but you got to understand that viral shit don't make you likable.
It
Nobody
don't.
wants to film with you except for
Yeah.
the cornballs like Jen and the forehead, but it just doesn't really give you a lot of places to go. So because she has that, just like I know my shortcomings, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure you
Yeah.
probably do too. So just
Absolutely.
factor that because you have shown season 1 that you can't go toe to toe. Like you either cry, you either run out of the room, or you either do something real loud and and unless you're willing to throw hands, which you really can't throw hands on the show, they'll let you go. You kind of messed yourself up. You're going Danielle as a lover of Danielle on this season. I think she had a fine season. I think Rachel Fuda definitely beat her out this season. Rachel Fuda was that chick for sure. But
Yes.
Danielle is right there. She's a star. She is. Russell, she is. But she needs to not go to that insanity level because the show is a show where you have to have conversation.
Yes.
And
Well, remember, she's really at Teresa's level. Teresa's first season when she flipped the table.
yeah.
She's really kind of in those shoes. And I mean, we've seen Teresa grow. We have. I will say that we've seen Teresa
Mhm.
grow, but now Teresa is dismissive and removes herself too far from the situation and doesn't take any ownership. When before she didn't care.
Oh,
She
side
was
note.
gonna let you know.
Before I do my side note, I was unimpressed with season 1 Teresa. Like that did nothing for me. The table nudge, like she didn't flip it. It was a table nudge. But anyways, even
To
if
be
she
fair,
did,
she was like this big and like
either
she
way,
was doing what she could with what she had.
I'm just telling you
Now, if
from
you
my
I flipped the
perspective.
table, it would go.
I'm just giving you my perspective. She wasn't interesting then season 1. Her iconic moment to me, no. But now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh my gosh, never mind. Okay, back to you. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I will say too, this is the
Oh,
first
I
time
remember.
I've
I'm
seen
sorry.
security on set. But go ahead.
To your point a second ago, you had said Teresa went from being that to she's kind of, detached in a lot of cases.
Yes, yes.
For a lot of scenes, even with her, and again, this could just be the way it's televised. For the girls that are her girls, she sometimes never really like seems to throw compassion their way. Like you say, she's kind of like checked out for
Yeah.
her friends.
Yes.
I actually, I'm always going to try to see both sides of the story for the sake of Jennifer Aiden. And I'm surprised Jennifer Aiden hasn't been mad about this before, even though Jennifer Aiden throws herself into a lot of the mess. I'd never see Teresa go and say, "Let's check on Jennifer. Is she okay?" Like it was kind of a new thing. I mean, their friendship is so weird. I feel like they're frenemies and don't even know each other are frenemies. I feel like they're not as close. They just have like these common enemies.
Hmm.
But I don't really think they really are each other's friends, but maybe they are. But I'm just saying I never really see Teresa say, "Well, wait a minute, let Jen talk," or "Well, wait a minute, Jen, how do you feel?" Like she just goes away from it. She's in her love bubble, I suppose. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that she goes away. Like, here's the thing. Again, she's checked out, but Andy also addressed this in his book. He said he's talked to Teresa about leaving the show, or Teresa's spoken about leaving the show. And oh, we got a comment. Corey Polk said, "Boys are back at it." Well, the boys, the girls, whatever you
we
want to call us.
we try to make it consistent. This show, for better or worse, is one of the most popular reality TV shows, and we try to represent for the whole cast. But yeah, we're just big fans of Melissa Gorga. So if you're new to watching Real Housewives of New Jersey, it's all about who? Melissa motherfucking Gorga. No, I'm just being silly. But yeah, no, we're consistent. And thank you, Corey, for showing support on the live chat because it does help the network grow. And yeah, we're back and better than ever. So
Better than ever.
oh, but we're not drinking
Being all
today.
extra in the camera with my cut in my eye.
Oh, well, don't call it out.
Here's
Where's the
thing, you know, I
drinks?
was shaving today and I sliced my eye open, so there's a little bit of tinted moisturizer on that. There's some
Okay.
Neosporin on that. There's just a lot going on. But you know what? The show must go on, and battle wounds and all.
I am surprised that we're not drinking today. I don't know. It just was a long day, but we work really hard to make sure that we do this show wonderfully. But yeah, I think honestly we need drinks for the next episode.
Who said I didn't have a drink? It just might not be on camera.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay, what do we got
Said I didn't
next?
have a drink. Who said I don't keep rosé on tap in the refrigerator? This is why Miss Grace stops by the house once a week because she comes and
Okay.
gets her fix of rosé. Now she
Well,
is
I
a
am
housewife
sober. I am sober.
right now.
What do we got next as far as topics? That was pretty much the episode, right? Or what else did we get?
The phone call with Melissa and Dolores. And Melissa pretty much, she's over it. She's sick of it. She was not interested in it anymore. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair. And I don't think you have to show up to family members' functions that you are not rocking with. I don't. I've done it myself. I will not show up to certain things because I know they're not rocking with me. I know they don't rock with me and Shane being together. There's just things that they're not rocking with, which we're fine because we have our beautiful place here. Like we're right off the water, which nobody could even come close to stepping to that. Okay. So get on our level just like anybody else. Anyways, but I don't blame Melissa for not wanting to show up to Teresa's wedding. For what reason? You constantly put us in a bad situation, and then it flash forwards to Gia saying, "We're done." You are the niece, you are the daughter. This is none of your business. This is none of your business. Joe, as we've seen in the flash forward, Joe says that Gia's picked up the phone and called him and said, "We think that you can do better." Joe was also in the wrong for mentioning that. Don't mention it. Leave it out. Leave the kids out. This is between you and your sister. I don't care if your niece steps out of line. We know that nieces and nephews step out of line all the time because they're still learning the game of life. So we need to just give them a pass sometimes. Give them a pass or address it not on camera, right? So there's that. But also, you also need to know as a child that you don't get involved in grown folk situation. And that's what this is. And I think this is going to get real messy real fast. And I don't like it.
I mean, Gia's gonna support her mother, so is what it is, kind of a thing. But sometimes I wonder because I guess they certainly tell a certain story online. I guess she graduated this week or something like that.
She did. How does she graduate this? So we do have to give credit where credit is due because we want to forward.
Credit, yay!
We need to forward the minorities that are trying to educate themselves better.
Gia, go! No, but I was gonna, and yes, I do agree. Especially that it had the
shade, baby.
No. Did I not mention I woke up at 4:30 in the morning? I'm sorry, I have like an early shift.
Ronnie's here to stay, y'all.
No. I'm glad because especially a lot of what at least we heard, what she studied was in the vein of something she wants to contribute in terms of her father in the scenario, where what he went through. So I think there is some really goods of it. But what I was going to jokingly say is to graduate, wonderful. I never went to college, so you could shade me if you want to. But my point is, when does she have the time? She stays ready on that damn Twitter and that Instagram and that. Well, what my uncle said was really this, and what my aunt said was really. She just is constantly like it's a lot of energy. Even if you're like a huge Teresa fan, it's so much. She's always, I think I've told you this. What I feel about people who come with the receipts. Receipts used to be organic. Receipts used to make sense. Receipts now are turning into fabricated stories that
the recipes
that you prompt online to defend yourself and tear the other person down. So receipts aren't what they used to be. And this Gia, who's never been eventful on the TV show in all the years, she just stays with the receipts. But I'm like, it doesn't really, if you ask my opinion, it's just my opinion. If you like her, yay, wonderful. I just think she's been uneventful. And these receipts are always so arced in such a way. Like, remember the time Joe met the other Joe? They had not gotten together, but they were at the same location and they did a hug or whatever.
Yeah.
And Gia didn't even let a nanosecond happen without oh, well, it's a hypocrisy because this and this and this. Well, why don't you get on the phone? And I'm sure she did, call your father and say, yo, dad, what's up? Why'd you show him love like that? She didn't,
Yeah.
she created instant havoc. Oh, well, my uncle, this, and it's kind of funny that he would do that with my dad if this and this and that. It's like, Gia, do you not, or whoever, Teresa or whoever, do you not want this to go away ever? Like, we
Yeah.
gotta let moments of growth to happen. Otherwise, let's just sit in it. And like she said in the show, I'm done. Okay, well then be done. Be done. Go get a great job. Go live your life. Like it's fine.
It's here's the thing is
Yeah.
what it really is. It's too much too soon, going too far for someone that's just learning the game. I get it. You've been around cameras your whole life pretty much since she was about what, 5 or
Hmm.
6. I understand that. But again, it's too much too soon. If you
Hmm.
want to get involved in Housewives, then you need to prospectively move out, get your place, have your spouse, and then be involved. And then it can be you and your mom against the world. That's fine.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
okay. And it's okay to also defend your mother, but there's also a way to do about it, to go about it and be classy about it. Like if somebody was talking about my mom, all I'm going to do is forward the information to my mom and let her handle it the way that she wants to do. Unless they come at me with it. If you're going to come
Yeah.
at me and be in my face about it, I'm going to shut you all the way down.
Well, that's the thing. Unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I'll throw out the option that maybe I don't know everything. I don't I don't eat, dream, and sleep this show. But it doesn't ever feel like people are really coming for Gia. But is that her name, Gia?
Gia.
Well, unmemorable. But Gia, it's like she's always inserting herself in. And it's like, and it's one thing to insert yourself in if you want to defend your mother, but it doesn't read that way sometimes. It reads like her life is not like there's like a void and she needs to like be part of this mess. That's what it's reading like, honestly. But again, we one thing we want to do in the show is we want to give value to both sides. Yes, she did, had a little success within her college career. The intentions are great. Hopefully
Mhm.
she finds, a wonderful husband, and not that you're defined by a husband, but a career, and really uses these prominent years to really grow a little bit away from the show. But
Yes, I would
or
love to see that.
yeah, or tell Bravo to give her a spinoff. Like I'm as much as I want Joe and Frank to have their spinoff, I've always said give Teresa a spinoff and send her on her way. Like if you like her,
Yeah.
go watch that show. I'm not against everybody not making the money. Go make your money, but when it starts being a compromise on your mindset, that's when it's an issue. And I can only speak to
Mhm.
that from my 20-year career within the radio industry. And I
Mhm.
know I can see certain patterns that showcase inauthentic. I could see certain patterns that showcase there's a void, and I could see certain patterns that showcase there's a certain neediness. Like the problem with being on cameras all the time, and this will happen with all the ladies, you start to feel value in that space. Once that attention goes away, it really messes with them.
Yeah.
And what's a great way to get attention? Jump on that damn Twitter and Instagram and say, my uncle's trash, So I pray for all of them.
But again, like you're just learning the game. You're just learning the game and you're so young. And not to say that young people aren't intelligent, but you're just starting to learn the game. And this could very much well not be your mom's life partner. And the one person who would come to your defense would be your uncle. So why would you cut your nose off to spite your face? Why would you do that? Don't do that. You know, know that know that family family is there. Family is there. Some family is not forever, because trust me, I am the first person to tell you that some family is better off not in your life. I will be the first person to tell you that. I will also be the first person to tell you that some family, although you may not be close, should probably stick around.
Yeah.
Should probably stick around because they're great to have in your corner for a situation if you need to be defended or whatever, because they're just better at it, right? So you got to pick and choose your battles, and I think Gia has definitely needs to learn better about picking and choosing her battles. But I digress on that, and I feel like we're gonna see what really yes, this was the finale, but we're going to see what happens moving forward to Teresa's wedding, because I'm sure there's going to be drama.
Well, and real quick, ultimately, I will say this. This is not a thing towards Gia or Teresa. I say this all the time. This is why when there was all those rumors about, oh, is Melissa not going to be brought back? I, of course, want her to be brought back. I think it's a wonderful check, and I think she's great television. But I have always stated that it is so important to get off that hamster wheel. And so when it sounds like I'm critiquing Gia, it's not that I'm being mean in any way, but I'm saying you have a wonderful opportunity. Your mother's the one on the show. She's making the money. You could go do whatever you want. Inserting yourself in all this stuff, you're welcoming chaos into your life. And I feel like you have such a wonderful time. You won't get these years back. You know what I mean? These are valuable years. Oh my gosh, to be, I don't know what she is, 20, 21, 22, 23. Those are some wonderful years. You kind of want to bask in that and maybe live it a little more private and, with amongst your friends and build your career, build your life. That is why I never got remotely worried about my icon, which is Melissa Gorga and Joe Gorga, because if the show does not bring them back, that's not the end all be all. I want them to come back. We've seen it on so many other networks. I always say how on VH1, so many of the talent that don't get brought back end up thriving in so many other ways. Like there's so many ways to do this. The only thing that you have to do, and it's funny, on the radio show that I'm, contributing on, Miss Jones, 94.7 The Block here in New York City, one thing she says at the end of every show is protect your peace. And sometimes these cast members don't want to. It's all jokes and shenanigans with Miss Jones on 94.7 The Block, but also Jonesy's Gems. Protect your peace. You have an opportunity. And because you're so valued within the network, granted, taking yourself away would be like a little bit of a risk. Am I going to be able to insert myself back? But you have got to look. This is an encouragement for everybody. One could say, what do you know, randomly, you dusty ass? I don't care what you say. I'm just stating I've done this a long enough period of time that I know the importance of get off that hamster wheel just for a second. Get yourself together. You're almost embracing chaos, and it's not going to do well for you in the long term. So if the network ever wants to throw, if any of the cast members, hypothetically me, let's say I'm on a show, and I've done it for 8 wonderful years, made a lot of money, created a lot of businesses from it, and things aren't really going, I maybe necessarily wouldn't want to lose that check, but I'm also not bothered to take a little step away. There are so many ways you could make money these days that didn't exist before. You used to have to rely on television and film and stuff like that. Now you do what you need to do. You create your own product line. Trust me, the chaos is not where it's at. It's just not. I'm sorry. That is the Ronnie gem of the day.
Well, I mean, also you have, like you said, you have these great moments, and we saw some other housewives from other franchises show up to Teresa's wedding, which I'm kind of excited to see about that. But if you ain't paying attention to Housewives, let us just give you an update on how bad, and by bad I mean bad in a good way.
Oh, like bad
The Real
bitch.
Housewives of New York City is coming in hot. Like we have not
yes.
seen a hot cast like this, who's
Yeah.
bringing elements to the table the way that this year is doing it. And I think Andy Cohen has done such a great job in and even if it's not Andy, but the casting department has done a great job in choosing a diverse cast that I feel actually represents New York City. But Ronnie, I'm gonna let you take it away. So go ahead, talk about it.
Well, you said a lot there, and that is very valuable information. I unfortunately did not like that Real Housewives of New York ever went on a pause, but I guess maybe going on a pause is some sort of fantastic strategy, long term, because it did have us salivating and waiting for the show to come back. And then the way that they ended up doing it does seem to work. So what they're going to do is the show that was going to be called Legacy, which supposedly Jill Zarin had some issues with that, or that's why it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Which I say you pay Jill Zarin what she's worth, because Jill Zarin is fantastic at this program. Some would say even thirsty, but I think Jill Zarin is one of the best to ever do it. That's just how I feel. Anyways, Jill Zarin did not come back. They did not do the Legacy in the setting that they were going to do it. Now they're going to bring those Real Housewives of New York OGs, I guess you would call them. They're going to have them do an Ultimate Girls Trip. I think it's gonna be okay. Sonia, Dorinda, Luann, some of the regulars.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily feel like not letting them be in New York is a bit of a challenge. New York is a little bit of the draw.
Yes.
So they probably want to do that to I'm tired. Differentiate themselves from the current, which will be the new season of Real Housewives of New York, which got a complete reboot. So I'll say that the Ultimate Girls Trip, Real Housewives of New York, The Legacy, it's gonna be okay, but I'm very much excited for the show as it may be. I do feel like I feel bad because I don't think I still feel like Ebony K. Williams should have continued on with the show, but I understand that with all that had happened, I suppose they needed to make it feel fresh. They had to revamp completely.
Yes.
But I still feel like
Yes.
in my opinion, there's still space or should have been space for Ebony K. Williams, who pretty much had a wonderful first season. If you really track it back, even with all the stuff that everyone had to go through, Ebony did a really wonderful season. But she's such a talent. She went viral the other day based on a conversation, and she is what is it? She's very provocative in her conversation. She gets you to think, whether you like it or you don't. So shout out to Ebony K. Williams. I've been in correspondence with her about another project, so we of course support her and what she brings to the table. But now let's get to the group. So as Russell said, yes, it's going to be such a variety. Russell, I'm not going to go through each cast member because we don't have the time right now, but we will get to it. Real Housewives of New York's coming back in July, completely revamped. The good and the bads. The only negative I have, Russell, I'm talking right to you, Russell. The only negative that I have is while we grew in the vibe of I was in Tribeca earlier, I was in Harlem later in the afternoon, I'm in Queens now. So I see all of New York, right?
Yes, yes.
And so when I see it, I feel it, I touch it, I get the texture of it. So the cast does represent that, and I like that. That's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like there was room to give women of a certain age the platform. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
While you can see the trailer and everyone's like, oh, they're so cute, they're so fashionable, like they're living. Great. But that would be the only downfall. We've fallen in love with the show based on seeing women who otherwise don't get tons of opportunity in television. So I'm always going to stick to, I wish we could have had a lot of what we're having on the show, the new revamp, which is coming in July. But I still wish we had somebody who, I don't know, spoke the language of Dorinda. Dorinda was always very authentic. Dorinda didn't do, how we love J-Lo for being over 50 years old, but she looks like she's 30.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We love J-Lo work.
Yes.
But also, I love it when a more seasoned woman can also dress to the age. And it's not saying you have to dress a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my only negative. And I know we got to wrap up here. My positive is I think Jenna Lyons is going to do fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I watched her reality show on HBO.
Okay.
She's just such I don't know. I just like her. And we have got this fashion forward Dominican girl named Sai, who I think is being arced a little bit as like a playful villain, but we are eating it up. Sai, I mean, I have never been on a Housewives Instagram so quickly and just eating up everything she's giving. So I think she's going to be a huge instrumental part of the success of the Real Housewives of New York. Again, I'd love to see a couple older cast members, but we're going to let this work. And I think Real Housewives of New York is going to be back. I hope that it succeeds quite tremendously because I hated not having Real Housewives of New York on the TV. I thought, bring it back. This has been a long wait. So season 14 is about to be Sai's season, Jenna Lyons season, and then we're going to meet a lot of new girls too. So, and it's New York. You want to see people. Like I just said, my day started at 4:30. Tribeca, Harlem, Queens. That's what it is to live in New York. You're all over the place. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm stopping down to do a podcast with Russell. So
I will say I am glad that actually Ebony K. Williams is not back.
My goodness, the slander.
There were some controversial things that I did not agree with. But I will digress because I don't think that they're proper to bring up on this show. However,
I don't think we have the time because you
want to figure out that in private. But
oh my god, what did Ebony do?
there was just some things that I'm like, there was a recent episode of Girls Trip where there were some comments made too that were kind of controversial that I don't even think should have made the air. But again, we can talk about that off camera.
Wait, but she
But
wasn't on Girls Trip.
I know, but like just in general,
Oh, gotcha.
like we're
Well,
we're
we'll
letting things
revisit.
fly. We're letting things fly that shouldn't be flying on camera because we're just in a time and age where things aren't acceptable anymore.
We'll revisit another
not
time.
even anymore, but just in general. But like we're too far advanced and knowledgeable to be letting
quick
things
question
slip through the cracks.
Quick question. What is your thought on Leah? Because the show's a little bit of a younger show, this new Real Housewives of New York cast. Ebony didn't get asked to be on it, which I personally think she should. Which is fine. She's got her. I think she's got to deal with Byron Allen, and she's doing her own show. Like Ebony's always going to work. What do you think of Leah not being in a cast that kind of matches her energy a little bit more than the Ramona, Sonia, Luann, Dorinda? What do you think of that?
I don't.
her time is just done. Yeah. I agree.
That was so shady of me. So shady of me, but I don't.
I think that means the show is just about over. But I'm just really happy to see Real Housewives of New York back. Did you know in Andy Cohen's book, he stated that there was maybe not a lot, some correspondence at some point for Wendy Williams to join Real Housewives of New York. And I don't believe I'm saying this because since when does a reality TV show choose the moral high ground or ethics or kind of like the tender love and care? Usually they see something and they will exploit it to the fullest. In his book, Daddy Diaries, Andy Cohen stated that Wendy Williams, her or the team had made some correspondence and that he chose, I think I mentioned this last week, that he chose to not move forward with that. This might have been early on. This might have been before the cast was even assembled because overall, while we all want Wendy to return in some capacity, going down that road while she wasn't in a good place was going to be really not the greatest. So
yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah. So hopefully Wendy could find a home somewhere, but it's not going to be on Real Housewives of New York. So yeah. Will you be tuning in?
Bring her in as a co-host to the Clubhouse.
Yeah, right. Andy's so shady. Andy don't let nobody shine with him. No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
You have to remember though, we all have to take a piece of humble pie, and we all have to all of us have to give the veterans, we have to give our veterans the spotlight, the moment, the gratitude, all of it, right? Because there were those who came before us, and Wendy Williams, there would be no entertainment, anything, if it was not for Wendy Williams. And with that being said, thank you all for joining us. We will see you for Teresa's wedding special and our thoughts on what we really think about it. Until then, you can search all over the internet. You can find me at Russell times Raymond, and you can find Randomly Ronnie Jr. at randomlyronniejr.com or on his YouTube space or on Instagram at Randomly Ronnie Jr. So
I didn't know we were going to have to cover Teresa's wedding. My pay grade needs to go up because to cover
Teresa's wedding,
her as boring as she is. Oh, good. I need to end the show. We got to say goodbye because I need to get my mind right. That is crazy.
See ya later.